New Mexico Crime Files, a deep dive into the archives, shocking and notorious cases, the arrests and what led to them, and what happened to the suspect. Here are your hosts, Dean Staley and Jessica Garate.
Welcome back to another episode and a brand new season of Crime Files. I'm KRQE's Dean Staley here with my co-anchor and my partner, Jessica Garate.
It's great to be back. Happy 2026. We have a full lineup of different crime files we'll be going through, and it's going to be a good season.
And the one we're looking into today, Jess, and people who watch us know this, we do really a wide range of crimes, right? Some are police chases, some are mass shootings. This one, I think, stands out, and I would say it's unique in terms of, as reporters, you and me covering news in New Mexico, I can't think of a different crime or killer like this one.
Yeah, this goes back to May of 2021 and March of 2021, and security officers at the Sunport noticed this foul-smelling odor in the parking garage. Mm-hmm. And police get there and they find a bunch of bodies. And when you hear that, I remember we see this email coming through. People are calling. They're like, "Hey, you guys need to get to the Sunport," and it just sounded like just crazy, like something that you would never hear about.
No, Jess, you're absolutely right. And I think of sometimes, is art imitating life when they do it? You see a movie about someone like this, or is this real life? This definitely feels to me almost like a play or a movie or some kind of weird thriller. Like, this never happens in Albuquerque, that someone says at the Sunport, which is our airport, they find not just bodies, but dismembered bodies in plastic bins inside a truck at the Sunport that have been sitting there for a long time. It's like right out of like Dexter or something, right? It seems like a show. It does not seem real. It is super, super rare. That's something that we would report on something like this.
And then there's this whole case had just so many different elements to it. Who were these people that were found? How were they connected? I remember the names were coming out and they're like trying to figure out how are all four people connected and trying to piece together. And then it was just such a horrific scene that they're trying to figure out who they are, how they got there, how long they've been there. Yeah. And as it keeps unraveling, just more and more stuff comes out, and it takes us across the country. And there's just so many different pieces to this murder case.
And I remember from the beginning in the newsroom thinking, wow, is this a New Mexico story, or did someone drive to New Mexico from Phoenix or Denver or somewhere else across the country, park their car at the Sunport and bail and leave this horrific just misery of a crime scene behind them? Or is this someone in New Mexico who did this? Because you just don't know, especially at the Sunport, where someone maybe, I'm just got to get to the airport and then I'll fly out. Who knows, right?
That's what I thought. I thought, oh, for sure we're never going to find this person. They're out in a different country. Like, they drop off the bodies, hop on a plane, and how are we going to figure this out? So this is the beginning of it. This shows the very beginning, how this all unfolded. This is our story by Annalisa Pardo.
And this is back from January. Well, the people went missing in January of 2021, and I think this is from March, when the bodies were discovered, March of 2021.
There was still a lot of moving parts, and there still is a lot of moving parts to this investigation.
And now it has taken another big turn. APD is now looking for 47-year-old Sean Lannon, a second person of interest in the homicide of four people found dead inside a car parked at the Sunport last week. Lannon is the ex-husband of one of the victims, 39-year-old Jennifer Lannon. The other victims, 21-year-old Matthew Miller and 40-year-old Justin Mata, along with Jennifer Lannon, were reported missing from Grants in January.
Detectives were able to work really quickly and make that identification.
The fourth victim, 61-year-old Randall Apostalon, was from Albuquerque. APD is still trying to figure out his connection to the others, but Grants police believe he may have been killed later since his body wasn't as decomposed as the other three.
We're still looking into whether there's any connection with the other three missing people, or if there was something by chance that he became connected with it.
Now the search for Sean Lannon has gone cross-country. He's wanted for a homicide at a home in New Jersey just yesterday. Police there say Lannon knew the victim, a man in his 60s. Lannon is also wanted for a burglary and other crimes in another New Jersey town just 20 minutes away from the murder scene. Court records show a divorce agreement placed Sean Lannon's young children in his custody back in 2019, citing several visits to Jennifer Lannon by CYFD.
Wow. Yeah. Horrific crime.
It really is. And can you imagine when police get there and they're investigating, they thought they had one body, we learn that he had used a saw and had, to break these bodies apart and put them in these rubber bins. And then they keep they're like, wait, how many people are there? How many bodies are there actually? And they kept they're like, okay, there's more than one. And I remember for weeks, not weeks, but for a while, we couldn't figure out how many bodies were in there. And then just trying to piece all of that together. And what a horrible scene.
Horrific. And we later learned, used hand saws and different knives to take apart the bodies. And I think about what is it like to be a crime scene tech working on this and trying to, how many bodies are these? Are just parts, right? How many bodies are they? Who are they? Identifying them? Just the worst thing imaginable. I can't imagine.
It really was. And just trying to figure out, okay, how did they all get here? And there were some that had some relation. They're trying to figure out how all of these people were related to each other.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we already have a suspect, Sean Lannon, 47-year-old man who lives in Grants, New Mexico. And then 3 of the victims are all from Grants, New Mexico. They went missing weeks before in Grants. So these people had not been heard of since January, right? So you have 3 people missing in January. They haven't been found in Grants. And Grants is a small town, by the way, in New Mexico. This is maybe a city of, 30, 40,000 people. So this is when 3 people go missing in that town who are connected. That's a big deal, right?
Right. And then they connect him, the way they connect him to these missing people, there's always something going on. Mm-hmm. And this is, Lannon, when they finally do try to find it, they're looking for him, he confesses. Mm-hmm. And not only to that, but to other murders.
Right. But in the beginning, they connected to him. He's, in this story we just saw, he's the suspect because he's also the ex-husband of one of the victims, and the other 2 men who were murdered knew that female victim as well. So that's an interesting moment, and I think that's just, as reporters, a pattern that we always see. And I think that homicide detectives are very keen on, okay, we've got a female dead. Who's the ex? Where's the ex? Where's the husband? Where's the boyfriend, right? I mean, domestic violence is such an incredible, a big part of crime and crimes against women. Very often, that's the first person who's involved.
And there had been some custody issues that police had learned about, so we knew, piecing this together, there was obviously some problems there.
Right.
When we come back, we started getting a clearer picture of how he covered up these crimes and how they found him. Mm-hmm. We'll be right back.
So welcome back. We started this story with an incredibly grisly, ugly, horrific scene at the Albuquerque International Sunport, the airport here, a pickup truck with the bodies of 3 different victims, a woman and 2 men. And we have a prime suspect in this case already. These 3 people went missing from Grants, New Mexico weeks before. And now the one person who's not dead in the truck is the ex-husband of 39-year-old Jennifer Lannon, her ex-husband, Sean Lannon. So he's nowhere to be found. So he's immediately the prime suspect in this case.
So they at least have one person that connects Sean Lannon. They're still trying to figure out where the other bodies come into play and what happened. During this time, Sean Lannon flees to New Jersey, and there police say that he killed another man and took off in his car.
Right.
And then was on the run for a while, and they found him in St. Louis. And I just remember getting that call saying, hey, they found this Sean Lannon guy.
And let me paint a picture for our viewers in the newsroom how crazy this was, right? We were all trying to understand more about this, working all of our sources, trying to okay, how many people? One of the things that comes up is the third victim, who's in that truck. It's his truck, so there's something weird going on. Like his body is found, chopped up in this truck as well. So, or not chopped up, but his body's in the truck as well, with these 3 other people who have been chopped up. So this is crazy.
The whole thing. And then that he flees, he goes to New Jersey, and it's like he's so dangerous because anyone he comes in contact with, he's killing. And so they really wanted to get him off the streets. They finally do arrest him. The U.S. Marshal Service had been looking for him. They offered a $5,000 reward leading to his arrest. They were getting up tons of calls and tips on this, really wanting to get a hold of, find him and arrest him. And so when they do, he's charged with murder, and he has quite the story to tell about why he murdered all these people and totally confesses. Yeah,
this is really, the story gets even crazier, and not just confesses to these killings, but confesses to more killings than we even know about.
Right. This is Rachel Knapp reporting.
Prosecutors call 47-year-old Sean Lannon a danger to the community.
The fact that they were able to get him into custody safely was really a great thing.
Lannon was formally charged today for the murders of his ex-wife Jennifer Lannon and 2 men, Justin Mata and Matthew Miller. Their bodies were found in a truck parked at a Sunport parking garage a couple of weeks ago.
His confession, honestly, really set up good for us.
Lannon told police all 3 murders happened at his home in Grants in January. He says he shot his ex-wife in the head after he found her and Mata were sleeping together. Lannon says a week later, he lured Mata to his home and shot and killed him. Lannon claims before he killed Mata showed him sexually explicit photos of Lannon's son with Matthew Miller.
We have no evidence to support that allegation at this time.
So Lannon allegedly lured Miller to come over to his house, where he also shot and killed him. But the details in the affidavit get even more disturbing. Lannon told police he dismembered Mata's and Miller's bodies with handsaws and knives and put their bodies, including his ex-wife's body, into storage bins. When police searched Lannon's rental home in Grants, all of the carpets and padding were ripped up and tossed out of the house. One witness later told police Lannon showed up at her house covered in so much bleach that his skin was blistered. There was a 4th victim inside the car at the Sunport. Lannon told police Randall Apostalon was helping him move the storage containers into an Albuquerque storage unit, but before they could get there, Apostalon asked for more money for the help, so Lannon killed him too.
So one of the things we learned, this is starting to make a lot more sense. And who knows, partly when you say we have motive, I don't know. This sounds very sort of methamphetamine. I mean, this sounds like a bunch of people that are sort of into drugs and different stuff, because this is not normal behavior, even by the standards of, oh, this was his motive. But we do understand that he's saying, oh, well, I found that Justin Mata had been sleeping with my ex-wife, so I killed him, right? Then he goes after Miller later, right? Because someone told him that Miller had molested his son, right? So this gets, each time he seems to have a rationale. I'm not even sure you would call it a motive, but he has a rationale for what he's doing. Yeah.
And then the Apostalon has no clue that he's helping move these bodies. He doesn't know what's in the tubs.
These are just plastic bins, and they're super heavy.
He just, and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to need some more money. And that cost him his life. Like, he has no idea who he's messing with.
Yeah, and one of those unanswered questions that I'm still, as a reporter, I just have that sort of need to know. I never understood quite, okay, so the bodies were in Apostalon's truck. Did he go all the way to Grants and help him pick up the bodies there and drive them back to Albuquerque? Or did somehow Sean Lannon get them to Albuquerque and said, hey, I need your help? Then maybe they were in a storage locker or something, and Apostalon brought his truck. Anyway, all of the bodies end up in Apostalon's truck. Then when Apostalon, as you mentioned, asked for more money, Sean Lannon beats him to death in the parking lot of a Southeast Albuquerque apartment complex, beats him to death, and then puts him in the truck. So that's number 4.
And then I always wonder, like, why leave them there? Like, why not bury them? Why not? The whole thing is so just bizarre and odd, and how he carried this out, I guess.
He may have bought himself some time by leaving them at the Sunport, where people are just moving back and forth and not paying a lot of attention, maybe, and then he has a chance to fly back east. So I don't know if that was, something that worked on his part in terms of his strategy.
And then he just, police pick him up. He fled to New Jersey after leaving the bodies at the Sunport, and then he was suspected of killing a man in New Jersey. He finally, again, was picked up by U.S. Marshals in Missouri on his way back to New Mexico. And he told police that he was coming back here to kill another man he said was molesting his son. And, of course, police were investigating these claims and had no way to know if any of that stuff actually happened.
But the story gets much clearer when he flees Albuquerque. He ends up in New Jersey. He goes to see this man, Michael Dabkowski, who he murders, right? A 66-year-old man who we later learn, Sean Lannon says, oh, he molested me when I was younger. So he did have some knowledge of him. They knew each other from when Sean Lannon was much younger. So he murders him. So then it becomes a pretty easy case for cops, because they've figured out, oh, he's got his car, so they're looking for that car. He gets as far as St. Louis, Missouri before the feds find out. I'm sure, who knows, they were tracking him by credit card, or somehow they tracked him all the way to St. Louis and found him in the victim's car.
And then when they do pick him up, they arrest him, he confesses everything. And then he also admits to even more murders. He says he's killed 11 more people, and that he doesn't say any names. He just throws that out there, and police were investigating it, but could never find any evidence that actually happened. So,
So Sean Lannon does a lot of confessing, and he gets sentenced. We'll tell you just how many years he got for these crimes coming up. Welcome back. A quick recap now. We have a 47-year-old Grants man from Grants, New Mexico, who is charged with killing 3 people in Grants and dismembering their bodies. That's his ex-wife, Jennifer Lannon, who's 39 years old, Justin Mata, who is 40 years old, and who Sean Lannon was accused of sleeping with his ex-wife, and then Matthew Miller, who's 21 years old. So he kills these people at different times, lures them to the home each time and kills them separately, gets the bodies chopped up in plastic bins, brings them somehow to Albuquerque, and has someone he knows who he's paying cash to help him move the bodies. And that's Randall Apostalon, who's 60 years old. And Randall says, hey, I need more money for this job. He beats that man to death, Apostalon, and leaves him in the truck at the Sunport, flees to the East Coast from the Sunport, and ends up killing 66-year-old Michael Dabkowski, who he says molested him as a child, steals his car, and ultimately gets caught in St. Louis, Missouri in his latest victim's car.
And I always wondered, too, I never understood if he knew the man in New Jersey, if he's just making this stuff up. Like,
yeah, good
because
question.
There was no evidence. There was nothing to tie him to. He just made all these, that he was being molested, his son was being molested, but there was no evidence to prove any of that.
Right, and I always wondered, was there something to that? Because how else would he get close to someone like that? How else would he approach it didn't seem like you could do that to a stranger, just, kill them and take their car in New Jersey from their home. So you wonder if there wasn't some connection there. I don't know. Yeah,
there's a lot of questions, a lot of bodies, a lot of piecing that had to go together to figure out this whole murder case. He did come back. He gets sentenced in May of 2024 in front of Judge Brett Loveless. Mm-hmm. This was a story by our own Dean Staley.
There you go. Check it out.
And with respect to the lesser included offense of count 1, second-degree murder, how do you plead?
I'm guilty.
For the second time in his life, Sean Lannon pleaded guilty to murder. Today's admission in the beating death of Randall Apostalon. His body found in 2021 inside Apostalon's own truck parked at the Sunport. And that wasn't all that police found that day.
They found the dismembered bodies of Mr. Lannon's former wife, her boyfriend, I believe, and her boyfriend's friend.
Lannon told police he killed the 3 people in Grants, dismembered them, and put the parts in storage bins before bringing them to Albuquerque. Prosecutors say before Lannon killed Apostalon, he hired him to move and store those bins with no clue there were bodies inside. Lannon admitted he beat Apostalon to death in a southeast Albuquerque apartment parking lot, then left his body along with the 3 dismembered corpses inside the truck at the Sunport. The victims' brothers shared their outrage before the court.
Murderer, may you live your life miserably, feel the pain which you deserve to feel daily about taking the lives of innocent people. I can only wish it be hell on earth for your actions you committed.
I don't know what evil poisoned your heart and mind that caused you to murder my brother, Randall Apostalon. What deranged state of mind consumed you to murder your ex-wife, Jennifer Lannon, or Justin Mata, or Matthew Miller, or Michael Dabkowski?
Michael Dabkowski is Lannon's 5th victim who was murdered with a hammer in New Jersey after the bodies were found in New Mexico. Lannon was caught in St. Louis days later in that man's car. He pleaded guilty to his murder in 2022 and was sentenced to 35 years. Judge Brett Loveless sentenced Lannon to 15 years for Apostalon's murder.
Wow, hearing from Apostalon's brother, I mean, he had some very strong words to say to this murderer and was really, just went after him in court, which was nice to finally hear from the victims' families in this whole ordeal.
Yeah, and that feels like something, too, that's almost out of a movie. You think, like, these loved ones all have to feel like, but for the fact that they came into contact with Sean Lannon, my loved one would still be alive. Right. There's just something about it. They got too close to this one person who was just intent on murder. So one thing I thought was interesting, 35 years for killing Dabkowski. This is the man in New Jersey, and he's 66 years old, and 15 years each for the other 4 victims. So that's Jennifer Lannon, Justin Mata, Matthew Miller, and Michael Dabkowski. Oh, no, not Michael Dabkowski. 15 years for Apostalon, right?
Yep.
So you have a total of 60 years for the murders in Albuquerque. And I weirdly thought, well, that seems like not that much, because these were each like first-degree murder charges in the sense that they were premeditated, they were planned, they were done without any. It wasn't like you're trying to gain money. I mean, this seems to me like classic first-degree murder. I was shocked that he didn't get 4 life sentences.
I
know
was
what I mean?
too. I just, and then you look at, how much more time he got in the New Jersey case than here in New Mexico. It was just really shocking to me. I thought the same.
Yeah, and at least that one makes a little more sense to me. 35 years for killing this 66-year-old man who had no idea that he was about to be murdered, who got beat to death with a hammer, right? I mean, this is, so that was a sort of a weird number for me. I thought he would get 5 life sentences.
Absolutely. And especially someone this dangerous who's ready to kill anyone that crosses his path.
Yeah. So here's a question, Jess. Is Sean Lannon a serial killer? Right? What's fascinating about this to me is we all think of the serial killer as someone who's sort of, hiding in plain sight, going about their life, or maybe not. Maybe they're a loner and they're on the road and sort of staying, no one really knows them. But in any case, you think of them as someone who is one by one finding a victim, targeting them, has no connection to these people, whether it's, blonde women or whether it's, old men, whatever your MO is, right? That's what you think of as a serial killer.
Yeah. This one's and you think, he is a serial killer. Like, he's got separate situations. He has 3 different scenes where he's been killing people.
Yeah. 5 different people murdered.
Thought about it.
Cools
down. There's always that calming period, which is one definition of a serial killer, that, they, in between the different murders, that there's a calming period and they go out and do it again.
Yeah, it's not a straight rampage, right?
Yeah,
he's not just driving all over, killing everyone he sees. It feels to me more like Natural Born Killers. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Where you had a couple that sort of were into killing people somehow, and it didn't matter the circumstance. Convenience store, a bank. It wasn't really connected to like, we have a type. So, but they were lawless and they were immoral, and they just thought nothing of doing that. This feels more like that type of serial killer to me, different than we normally think of.
I agree. It's just a different situation. I do think too, though, when I think of serial killer, I do often think of like they're targeting this one when you look at like the serial killers throughout, like Gacy and they have some sort of type that that they were focused on, and this one, it just seemed very random.
But don't you have like no doubt that if they had not caught him in St. Louis, Missouri, that he would have been on to the next person, and it probably would have been a crime of opportunity, that he needed money or a different car, right? Because there are those sorts of serial killers that are just on a sort of a killing spree while they're on the run.
Oh, completely.
So,
completely. He was.
Thank goodness they
he
got
had
him
nothing
behind
to lose
bars
at this point. So.
Yeah.
Dean, next week.
Yes.
Our next Crime Files. We're gonna have a special guest, and I'm looking forward to it.
I know who this is.
Can I tell them?
Please.
Should I say?
No.
Larry Barker is going to join us, and I'm looking forward to it. He's got a great case that he did an investigation on, and so we're going to sit down with him and talk about it.
Larry, who does wonderful deep dives into everything he goes near, a really in-depth story about a fairly old crime that is really intriguing.
Dean, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you back here next week.
It's a date.
Okay.
All right.